Joining us to explain the extent of the damage and what is next for reef rehabilitation is Atty. Teodore Jose Matta, Executive Director of the Palawan Council for Sustainable Development. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Atty.
Magandang umaga, Gretchen. And magandang umaga sa lahat ng nanonood. Thank you.
Kaya, unang katanungan po, no, Atty. No? First, I guess, what led to the joint assessment on this area being done? Was there a particular event that you noticed, or has this been going on for a long time?
Well, we have been taking stock of all our natural resources in the Palawan Island group for quite some time now. We have been doing this with the Philippine Coast Guard, the Philippine Navy, and the Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources. And we've been having support also from the DENR. So this has been a continuous program for us to actually inventory all our natural resources in the West Philippine Sea.
Mm-hmm. And based on your team's assessment, how serious is the damage caused to the coral reefs off Pag-asa Island?
It's quite extensive, and even up to now, there is a danger for more damage to be caused because the apparatus that was actually dragged into the coral reef is still there, and it's covering around 300, more than 300 square meters of corals.
And ito nga po, nakikita po natin yung parang white na parang lona, no? Yan po yung parachute anchor daw po yan. Tama po ba?
Yes, it's a parachute anchor. It's usually used when the traditional anchors on ships cannot reach the bottom, or you want to minimize the drift of a certain vessel. In this case, it actually ran aground. The parachute was the one that ran aground and was dragged by the ship. And that's why it caused damage to a large extent.
Oh, okay. And then this was because there was bad weather, right? And a Chinese ship had to dock somewhere near around that area. Is that correct?
It deployed its parachute anchor near the area, probably to mitigate the effects of the strong winds and the high energy that the seas were experiencing at the time. That they were experiencing at that time. So that's what caused them to drift near the coral reef.
And they just left the parachute anchor there. Hindi na po kinuha.
Hindi na nila kinuha. Yun yung problema. And it takes more than just a simple act of lifting it in order to avoid damage. No? So maybe it was impractical for them, or they did not have the capacity to actually lift it anymore.
And right now, what kind of damage did you see in the coral reefs, and how long has the parachute anchor been there?
It's been there since June 7, no, when the incident occurred. And we already assessed it to cover more than 400 square meters of corals as far as damage is concerned. However, the full extent of the impact, well, you have several considerations to take into account. Number one is the physical destruction of the coral structures. Extensive crushing and breakage of live coral colonies and reef frameworks, particularly massive and branching corals, which have taken decades or centuries to grow, are now being reduced to rubble. No? So, second is, of course, with the destruction of this coral, you now have the loss of biodiversity. Coral reefs are among one of the most biodiverse ecosystems on Earth, supporting approximately 25% of our marine life. Damage to these reefs will lead to the immediate loss of habitat and for reef fish, invertebrates, and microorganisms. And this will basically, kung sa baga, this will disrupt the circle of life. You know, so.
And has there been an effort to remove already the parachute anchor? And how difficult would that be?
Okay, to give you an idea, we had 6 divers go down recently, and they couldn't even lift the main structure,
Oh.
uh, let alone try to lift the chute itself. This is heavy. This is waterlogged. This is a waterlogged high density fabric. So it's not that easy. And you need to be careful how you lift it, lest you destroy more corals underneath. No? So this is the problem. And the corals which it covers are definitely dying or dead by now because of the lack of sunlight. So it will take preferably maybe a salvage crew or highly specialized equipment in order to remove it. Our team could not remove it manually because it was too heavy. So we're already coordinating with the Coast Guard in order to plan how to remove it without causing more damage.
Actually, para po yung ano na yung lona na mabigat na in the first place kapag binoon mo nga ay talagang mahirap iangat, no? So,
Exactly. Yeah.
oo. And, how far is this area from the main Pag-asa Island?
It is about 2.3 kilometers from the main Pag-asa Island. So it is well within our natural, rather municipal waters and our national territory, because Pag-asa Island actually generates a 12-kilometer national waters, no? So
12 nautical mile, yeah, territorial sea.
nautical miles, sorry, yeah.
Oo, pero ito pong area na to specifically because we do know that the sandy cays are also within that distance. It's about 2 to 3 nautical miles from Pag-asa Island. Yung area po na to malapit po ba doon sa may sandy cays or ito po ay nasa may kabilang banda?
And Sandy Case is more to the south of, if I'm not mistaken, it's more to the south or on the other side of the island, no? Which is another story. But yeah, it's basically within reach of our fisher folk and our authorities.
So ito po ay nasa kabilang dulo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess to your knowledge, how often is this parachute anchoring being done by the ships? Have you also noticed that in other areas?
Well, it is being used by these vessels that the Coast Guard has already observed it, and when we do our own maritime surveillance, because we monitor the pollution caused by these vessels and that park or stack up in our jurisdiction, and they are often employed. So if you have 10 ships or 5 ships stacked up, usually one of them actually deploy a parachute anchor.
And when we say vessel, ito po ba yung maritime militia vessels?
Yes, these are what we refer to as the maritime militia vessels of China. So they're the ones who are actually lingering and loitering within our jurisdiction.
Actually, nakapunta na po ako dyan sa may Pag-asa Island at nakita ko nga po yung dami ng maritime militia vessels. They are, a huge in number compared to the Chinese Coast Guard ships and the Chinese Navy ships. Sila po talaga yung parang, sabi nga nila, no, maaaring ginagamit to do blocking moves and to establish some sort of presence in the area, which makes me wonder if the damage also caused by the sandy case, which was the subject of a maritime exploration, could have been caused by the activity of those maritime militia ships.
Yeah, that's the subject of another study we are actually conducting. We've had several sorties within the Sandy Cay area or the Pag-asa Cay area. And we continue to study it carefully with historical data also. And we've been taking samples and cross-checking the DNA of the rubble in the area. And there's a good possibility that there are causes attributable to these vessels. No, so it's still the research is still under wraps. We're still conducting it, so I really can't discuss at the moment.
Pero meron na po bang, I mean, at least with what you can share with us, meron na po bang parang findings when it comes to the corals discovered on top of the sandy cay and the corals underneath? Matching po ba yun? Because the other allegation here is that they could have been dumping the dead corals there to beef up their claim over the sandy cays para ito po ay manatili na isang island.
We have access to certain data right now, and we are conducting the research still. But there are indicators that somehow reveal a story that there has been deliberate placing of certain debris in certain areas. And not only in the Pag-asa case, we're also looking at other reefs. So this is still under investigation.
Oo. Yun nga, saan po kaya pwedeng manggaling yun, ano?
Actually, Gretchen, ang mahirap kasi dyan is it's highly improbable that a DNA from a certain area be scattered over 6 or 7 different areas. So these are rubble. And when you collect and you analyze their DNA, they come from one area. So usually, sea debris does not travel that far. There's only a certain pattern that they go to or they follow. So we're still studying that.
So yung pattern na nakikita natin kasi parang nanggagaling lang sa isang lugar.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Very,
Pero
very interesting.
That's not yet final or conclusive. We're still working on it. So.
Okay. When it comes to the amount of the damages that the Philippine government is asking from China, you have pegged it at 11.1 million pesos. How were you able to come up with that number?
Okay, we're actually using similar valuation that we use for Tubataha reefs. No? So, and Tubataha reefs is overdue for revaluation. We're using it at 12,000 per square meter. This was valued decades ago. So, and Tubataha reef right now is undervalued. We're thinking more like in the 24 to 36,000 pesos at the very least per square meter. So we're using the Tubataha valuation on the same area on Pag-asa area, and then we also impose a 12,000 peso per square meter rehabilitation cost. So that's why we came up with a 24,000 peso penalty per square meter, and that's what we're imposing at the moment.
Kumbaga parang meron pong value yung mismong area and also the rehabilitation cost that the Philippine government will incur. All right. Thank you so much for breaking that down for us, and we hope that this gets resolved soon. It is, as you mentioned, centuries worth of biodiversity, and we hope it is actually documented well for our claim to our Philippine territory. In the meantime, maraming salamat po, Atty. Teodore Jose Matta, for joining us
Thank
today,
you.
the Executive Director of the Palawan Council for Sustainable Development.